Welcome, welcome everyone to the next edition of the Stay on Course podcast. Today I have Sheena Eizmendiz, and she is a resilience champion and the CEO and founder of The WellBiz, which is a boutique consulting firm driving organizational development, wellness solutions, and cultural transformation. Sheena is a best-selling author, sought after keynote speaker, and she blends positive psychology with strategic leadership to help people and organizations emerge stronger through change. Welcome, Sheena, to the Stay on Course podcast.
Julie, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here with you and your audience.
Yes, I'm super excited to have you here as well. And before we get started, I ask all of my guests, what is your favorite food?
Ha ha ha. I just had it. It was pizza. I ordered it a couple of hours ago. Pizza, it's like comfort and easy, and it's just like you can't go wrong.
No, no. I mean, you could go wrong, but you can't go
Well,
wrong. If it's
can't,
bad,
right.
but you know
It's,
what we just noticed is that pizza in South Florida is good.
it is. It
Yeah,
is.
that's
I think
because
we can I think we can compete with New York. What do you think?
well, I think that
My
what
husband
happened was
hears me. He'll kill me because my husband's from New York.
the thing is that what maybe they don't have the revelation yet, but the truth is like 20 years ago the pizza wasn't as good, but now all the New York and New Jersey people moved down here to open up restaurants. So the pizza in this area is fantastic.
I agree.
It's amazing. So, Sheena, I'm so excited about this conversation. We're going to talk about resilience and having a resilient mindset. And, this is a topic very close to my heart because I feel like my whole life I've had to have resilience.
Hmm.
And I think that that would probably be the same for most people. But where would you like to start this conversation?
Well, when it comes to resilience, I think that it's almost like a muscle, right? It's uh it's something that the more we use, the more we utilize, the more we're in situations where we need to flex that muscle, then the stronger the muscle becomes. And when we look at leaders, it's definitely a muscle that leaders need. It's something they need to cultivate, and it's more about building intentional practices than anything.
Absolutely. And the more you flex your muscle, the more you build those resilient methods or yeah, like your own resilient method, the easier it gets, you know?
I
Because
agree.
it feels like it's just like anything, like a sport, when you can like duck and move and flex and do all that stuff. That's what resilience is like. Once you've been hit enough times,
Mm. It's like
you're
you've
like,
seen that movie.
yeah, you're like, oh, okay, no, I could do this now. I could do this again because I got hit by that last week. It's kind of a sad thing that we have to say this, but it's true. And the more you put yourself in those high pressure like situations, the better you get at it.
The better you perform, the better you respond instead of react, right? I think that as humans, we have a tendency of reacting to situations. And sometimes it's because we haven't really built on our resilience and we haven't utilized those skills and leveled them up to a point where, we're responding to a challenge versus reacting to a challenge because the result is very different when you respond versus react.
Exactly. And because you lose your ability to logically think.
Yes, there's no clarity, mental fog, and then you're also coming from fear. And as we know, fear is never a best friend. It
No.
may propel you, right? And in a fight and flight response, it might even save you. But when it comes to leading and leading teams and leading people, I think that it positions you in a very risky place.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk through this just a little bit. What's happening in the moment? Something happens. And for me, like, I know it's going to sound silly. What happens to me is I'll be oh, see, here it is. A phone call will come in.
Hmm.
It's happening right now. A phone call is coming and someone needs to speak to me. I'm on a podcast, and now I have to think, what does this person need from me? And depending on who it is, I'm like, oh no, I need to respond to this right away. So in the moment, that becomes not like a crisis, but a distraction to what I'm doing right now. And so what do you and then it could be actually something important, right? This could be
Yeah.
an important call. What do you tell people to do first when that moment comes at you?
So I always say that resilience starts with like the basics. The foundation of any resilience is self-awareness and emotional regulation. I mean, resilience, after all, is that starting point where you get to notice and identify your internal state. Like, how am I feeling? What are the triggers? What are the emotional patterns that are showing up? What's my energy like? So, as you said, you get this phone call, you're in the middle of maybe recording a podcast, and maybe it pops up and it says it's your daughter or your son or your mother, and immediately you go to this sort of fear place where it's like, wait, something happened. They normally don't call me at this time. So
Hmm.
it's important to kind of stop, pause, and check in. The check-in is vital. It's the most important process in resilience. That self-awareness, like, what am I feeling? What am I thinking?
Hmm.
What are my emotions telling me? Is there a pattern here? That's
Yeah,
really important. That pause in to the response is very important.
the pause to the response. And that's so important because when stuff comes at me, and it's usually like my husband, don't tell anybody, but usually it's him, and it's like always a big fire. And I'm like, in what sense of reality does this feel like to me, it doesn't feel like a big deal. For him, it's a big deal. And I'm like, this is a non-issue for me. So I'm cool, calm, and collected. And he's like in his own little flurry because of whatever reason that I don't really understand. But that's his problem, not mine.
I
And
agree.
that also happens too, right? When something's coming, it's not necessarily coming at you, it's coming at someone else on your team, your family member, and you're looking at that situation and you're like, that's your issue. And now you have to be resilient in your own way it's like the let them theory, like
Ah,
the Mel Robbins.
I just finished reading the book. I have to say, it's a must. I hope you've done already, if not that you should, an episode just around the let them, right? Like, let them so I can let me. I love that. There's so much power in that.
There really is. I mean, I had so funny. I bought the book the other day and I did a session, a training session for a bunch of salespeople, and I brought the book with me and I'm like, I'm going to give this away today.
They
So I
need it.
gave my book away to somebody who was like, I want that book. And I'm like, okay, someone's going to pay it forward to me now. So I gave away the book, but I did start reading it and I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, because how much of that stress is caused by other people and not even by ourselves?
It's not even yours. We tend to borrow, right? It's like, and then we create a narrative, a story around it. And so all these triggers and, we get fired off. And then now we're reacting to situations. We're not responding logically to them.
Yeah. It's like such a ninja skill to
Huh.
be able to I feel like you're doing that. You're like when you're like boxers, you know how they kind of like duck and move because this stuff is coming at you and you having your own methodology or your own practice, your own system for dealing with things that are hard. I did this activity the other day in the training class that I did, and it was, the bounce back, what are you
Mm.
like at your best self? And what are you like at your worst self? And understand what is it going to take you to bounce back into that good energy that you had? Because at any point in our day, we could be taken off our game.
Easy. So easy. The
Any
smallest
point.
distraction.
Yeah. Any point of our day, we could be taken off our game. And then it's like, it could screw up your week. How, I don't
Right.
know,
And
Sheena.
it's,
Yeah, go ahead.
what about the way that, remember, leaders lead by example. So a leader that shows up this way and does so often because they have no self-control, no emotional regulation, I mean, that's going to trickle down to their teams. And then when something doesn't go as expected, as it normally doesn't, right? Then everyone's stress and, that leads to burnout, as we know. We know that right now burnout is at its highest, higher than it
Yeah.
was during the pandemic. and people are feeling it, they're experiencing it, they're taking more PTO than they ever have before. And you've got the millennial and you've got that generation and the Gen Z who are like, I'm jumping ship. I don't want to be in this environment. This is not the culture I want to be on.
Yeah. Yeah. And the leader, everything rises and falls on leadership. So the leader really has to have their stuff together, Sheena.
Yes. And it's not a, check the box or a one and done. It requires development. And development is, slow and paced. And eventually you get there. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. There's a lot of layers.
There is a lot of layers. And I think there's like practice. And there's a lot of ways to practice this. And that would be, in my opinion, to put yourself in situations that are hard, like intentionally put yourself in situations that are hard so that you can practice your resilient technique, you know? And the best way I think to do it is like just get on a stage, like go and
Uh,
present for 100 people, go
we've
and
been there.
present, right? The amount of resilience you need to be a speaker is, I think, a really good training ground. What do you think about that?
I agree.
I never thought
Yes.
about that.
Julie, that reminds me, there's one of my favorite quotes is by Neil Donald Walsh, and he said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And I believe it. And that's exactly what you're saying. It's about getting so incredibly uncomfortable that once you pass that threshold, then you've got that breakthrough. And it's like, okay, all right, this is familiar ground. I got this. Listen,
Yes.
there's some times where I've spoken on stage and there's 300, 600 people. And even though I've done it so many times, it just depends where I'm at, where my energy's at, where my
Yeah,
mindset is at. And sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I'm a little nervous about this. And
of
yet I've
course.
done it over and over again, right? So the idea is not to reach perfection in what we do, it's about improvement. It's about constantly working on ourselves, constantly improving our skills. And
Yeah.
that's how we become better people and better leaders.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? It's the same feeling. Okay. Think about it. The same feeling that you feel that when you're getting up on stage and that feeling that you feel, it's the feeling of having no control. It's the feeling of losing your sense of logic and the feeling in your body. That's what happens when something comes up against you, a conflict comes up, and have to like face it. It's the feeling that your body is going through that we need to acknowledge, because the minute you lose your sense of logic and the control that you have, that's it.
It's done and gone.
It's done, right? You might as well just go home and go to sleep and come back tomorrow. Like go home, go to sleep and come back tomorrow. I can imagine that there's a lot of people that could like not get fired if they would just go home and shut their mouth and come back the next day. You know what I
I
mean?
think so too. I'm with you there.
I have to tell you a story. I had a boss once who got into a little situation at work. And he's like, come into the office, Julie. I was his communications manager. He's asking me to read through and his thing because he got into a conflict with somebody. And we work on the response. And he says to me, okay, Julie, now I'm going to send it to myself and I'm going to read it in the morning. And in the morning, if I still feel I need to send this, I'm going to. But if I don't, I'm going to ignore it. And I was like,
Hmm.
wow, that is brilliant.
That's self-control.
Yes.
That is self-control. And if you look at it, it's kind of like that second layer of resilience, whereas the adaptability and the growth opportunity or growth orientation, as we like to call it, right? Where you have a situation and instead of reacting to it, you have this ability to kind of pivot, right? And as you pivot, then you go into this sort of like solution focus at another time because you have an opportunity to kind of revisit it, reflect, and by that time, your emotions now are much more regulated. So there's more agility now, and you're able to have more self-control. And then you get to decide, how do I want to show up for this? And you might realize that it's not such a big deal. You were making a big deal at the front end, but then
Yeah.
now you're like, nah, it's not. I'm
It's
not
not a
gonna.
big
It's
deal.
not worth it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, the key to all of this is to remain calm and steady, keep your sense of logic, and be able to pivot and move in the moment of difficulty. So you're not getting stressed, you're not reacting, but you're taking a step back, you're thinking something through, and then you're responding to it. You have so much more control. You have access to so much more information that way.
Yeah, and you also get to reframe the challenge, right? Because then you get
Yeah.
to ask yourself a question. What's the opportunity here? Like, why is this showing up for me? And you've
Mm,
got that. It's, you can sit in that space and, and see that response or that answer come up, but it's not coming from a place where now you're defensive, you feel like you've been attacked and you need to react. No, you're coming from the right space because now your emotions are under control and you're looking at the situation from an objective perspective.
yeah. I like that. It's so important. It's critical. It's critical as you level up in your professional career because at that point, it's all about alignment and it's all about relationships the higher you get into the
Mm,
organization, right?
it
I
sure
was having a
is.
conversation about this yesterday with somebody. When you're younger and you're in lower levels of the organization, it's really about service. Your job is about serving, it's about learning, it's about people lifting you up and teaching you and training you. It's actually a beautiful time, right? When you're the one getting poured into and you're serving from a place of like, oh, this is what I'm good at, to migrating into a manager development, a director level, and then having to coordinate and oversee, which is a totally different skill set than the person doing the work.
Yeah. I think that when we look at it from that angle, this is where and how resilience helps you at that level is to look at resilience not as a solo sport, but more as having trusted peers, mentors, right? Maybe leaning on other leaders, on other directors, other people on your team. I think that that's really important because it creates perspective and then it helps you not to feel so siloed. And a
Yeah.
lot of leaders, the higher up they go, especially when you're at that senior leadership or you're in the executive leadership, they feel very siloed.
Yeah. They need to have a support system. Like when I was working with this vice president at the time, I was his support person. So he could come to me and say, Julie, listen to what just happened. How should how can you help me
Hmm.
respond to this thing? Just being able to bounce off ideas and
Yeah,
sort of say, oh, this is really not that big of a deal. We can do it this way or that way. But two brains are better than one.
sure is. That makes a resilience circle right there. Even two people. That's
Tell
a
us about
team.
the
That's a
resilience.
partnership.
What is the resilience circle? Tell us about
Oh,
that.
it's really having either between 2 to 3 people that you can
Hmm.
call on when you are feeling stressed or you're feeling confused or you are not understanding a situation that maybe is brought to you. It's again, it's leaning on other people
Yeah.
and doing so not because you're weak, not because you may lack direction, but because at the end of the day, it takes a community, right? The more
Yeah.
people we have in our circle, then you've got one idea and then you've got someone with another idea and then together you can come up with a better solution than just one individual.
I love that. And I think that is so super important for us to kind of think about is that, we say that it takes a village to raise a family, and it does also to have a career, you know? I don't think we've ever talked about that. I've never actually heard anyone talk about having a village to help you develop yourself professionally.
Oh yeah, this is why masterminds are so effective.
Hmm.
We create leadership cohorts and not just for executives and senior people, but really for just frontline or emerging leaders because they need support. I mean, it's like you mentioned, they do have mentors and support, but they need very different support. They need that circle, right? And to know that they're not alone in that journey because it is a journey. And so leadership is a journey. And I always say leaders are not born, leaders are made. They're made. We can't forget that. You've got
True.
people who have certain skills and talents, as we say, But the reality is that the skills, in order to really hone those skills, leaders are made. You need to develop into a leader, and it does require that circle of influence. It requires community or a village.
I love the village. I was just thinking, I love that
Mhm.
word. That's a good word. What else do you want to talk about to help people understand the
I
resilience
think,
mindset?
I think in essence, the key is to know yourself, right? That's kind of the awareness part. And, when you go through challenges, it's about leaning into it. It's like, again, life begins at at the end of your comfort zone, and that
Mhm.
will help with the adaptability. And remember that you don't have to do it alone. And that's the connection piece of it. And
Oh,
I really look at resilience. I mean, those are kind of like the three pillars of it, right? We
love
want to
that.
be able to have all this and it's about ask for help, and it's okay to say I don't know how to do it, or I don't want to do it alone.
I love that. So, self-awareness, leaning in, and having a support system, the three ingredients for success for building a resilient mindset. I love the leaning in part too. Like, put yourself in situations where you can practice,
Yes, not for perfection, for
not
improvement.
for
I always remind
improvement.
people it's like, oh, practice makes perfect. What's perfect? It's so relative and perceptual,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's such a stress too. It's like, why do we want to do things to be perfect? Like, what about just doing them to improve, just get a little better
Just a
at it?
little better. I mean, I bet there's
Yeah.
a lot we can learn from sports athletes here
Yes.
in this sense because I was thinking about tennis and like just picture a ball coming at you, and like you have to lean this way,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of
Oh
like ping
yeah.
ponging or hitting the ball back. But like that ball's going to come at you in 17 different ways every single time. And just to be able to,
And you need to adapt.
adapt and flex and move and hit and all that stuff and that just takes practice and putting
It
yourself in
does.
those
Well,
situations.
think of a rubber band. How many things can you do with a rubber band, for God's sakes?
Yeah.
Do a ton of things with a rubber band, right? And it's because of the flexibility that it has.
Yes. What are they saying now
We
about
gotta be like rubber bands, Julie.
rubber bands? Yeah. I love that. What are they saying now about being flexible? Is that one of the superpowers of, well, that's the whole thing under resilience, but
Yep.
I heard something recently. Do you have any studies or anything they're doing about flexibility and talking about that?
Some of the stuff that I've seen on flexibility, it's really geared more towards the adaptability part of it, right? The
Okay.
more flexible you are, then the more easily you'll adapt. Especially we're in times where, as we know, there's a lot of disruption, even with technology, AI, major disruptions, right, in the tech space, and things are changing and evolving very, very, very quickly. So the more flexible you are,
Yeah.
then the quicker you'll adapt to these
Quicker. Okay,
changes.
that's it. Because I think it was some sort of thing like almost like, emotional intelligence. Maybe it's your flexibility is like it's like a level of
Let's coin it. Let's
intelligence.
coin it. I say, Julie, let's coin it. Let's go for
I
it.
think we need to, unless maybe I feel like I read something just recently about
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna chat GPT it as soon as we're done.
Yes, you are.
I sure am because flexibility is your superpower.
It sure is.
It sure is. And gosh. If you want to freaking like talk about flexibility, go through something hard. You'll come out flexible on the other side. You
Oh
will.
yeah, and instead of by force, you can do so by flow, right? There's such a difference between force and flow. And when you're resistant to something and you're not being flexible, you're still going to be pushed in the direction that you need to be in. It's like
Uh,
you're going to be where you need to be, but there's such a difference when you do it from a flexible place because then you can do it from a flow. It's flow. It's
mm.
very different.
Oh, well, that's like yeah, that's like when
Force versus flow. It's
force
huge.
versus flow. What do they say? I don't know. The doctor always said, oh, wait, the dentist, when you're at the dentist and
Hmm.
they're like, you just clench up because he's about to shoot you with a thing of Novocaine, you know, and he's like, don't tense up. The minute you tense up,
Yes,
everything's going to hurt you more. So you have to stay in an attitude of flexibility.
I
I
love
love
that.
I love the curiosity. If you stay in the attitude and the frequency of curiosity, a Like that's the result is that you're
It sure
flexible
is.
because you're
It sure
present, you're
is.
curious, and you are able to really like take things for what they really are instead of like what they seem like. When that person is yelling at you, you don't know what they've been through in their day. You ever see those people? I just totally judged somebody recently. I'm going to tell you a story. I was in it. I met this person and this woman was giving me these looks. And I'm like, "Oh my God, she is either not a nice person or she doesn't like me. I am
Right.
not into this person." Like in my head, I'm thinking this. Come to find out, I hear that she had something really hard happen to her,
Mm.
and she found out right before she got to meet me. And I was like, oh my God, I felt so bad for judging this person. Because what? I thought it was all about me.
Yeah.
You know what? Oh, she doesn't like me. She's giving me these dirty looks. And that's such a basic thing. And people do this all the time. But this just happened to me. It's not like I was like, I'm not telling you this from 17-year-old Julie. I'm telling you this from like a week ago, and I'm still doing that stuff. So, I mean, I'm sure everyone else is doing it too, because
We
it's
all do
just
it. Hmm.
natural, right? When people
Sure.
are giving you
It's our
looks and you're
go-to. Well,
right.
those are the triggers, right? Like we've got all these triggers.
Yeah.
And that's why self-awareness is so important because the more like you became aware, you're like, oh my God, like look at me here. Like I'm acting like the 17-year-old Julie.
Yes.
And you're like, I can't believe it. And you almost you felt shame and you felt guilt, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed that I was judging her. And yet here's this woman who went through God knows what. And so it's about that awareness. It's what helps us to do less of that.
Yeah.
Right, because now you become aware the moment that your emotions are all over the place, and now you can take control over your emotions. Be like, oh, hold on, relax,
I mean, if
Julie.
I knew
It ain't
that, I
about
might have,
you.
yeah, if I knew that, I might have given her a hug. If I
Yeah,
knew that,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But I didn't know. So I'm only going off of her body language and the way
sure.
she's talking to me. And I'm sure that could be a very triggering thing for people if they haven't thought about it. So
Yes, and then the
something,
self-defense mechanisms, they start kicking off. They're like, like
yeah.
fireworks, right? Like, yeah.
Right. So now her resting bitch face, whatever that is, the
Hmm.
RBF is now looking at me and I'm triggered and now I have a situation. So interesting. I love this conversation, Sheena.
I
Tell
do.
us where our audience can find out more about you.
So we are the WellBiz. We are in all of social media platforms. I think one of the best spaces I always say is LinkedIn and Instagram. Really, we try to provide as much value to our followers. This is where we share a lot of the things that we're doing, and it's a great space to just have conversations and engagement more than anything.
Love it, love it. Well, Sheena, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Stay on Course podcast.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.